everyone, welcome to our first virtual classroom. Although this is not going to be a live video, we are going to do some practice. So what I'd like for you to do is to get out a piece of paper. We will be completing, I believe, 3 problems altogether, kind of a refresher for what we did last week. I will also be referencing my cheat sheet that I made that I had asked all of you to make in the week 11 videos. And so, if you haven't done that, I would highly suggest you do that. It is a piece of paper that we did in week 11. It's the very first video. All right, and then it's good to have this because, as I said last week, that we will be referencing this again when we look at this chapter, but more through a graphing calculator lens in second semester. So you need a piece of paper. Again, you're going to be submitting this to OneNote. No, you do not need to write the problems down. I just want you to write whatever I write down. Keep your work neat, organized, and remember, you have a whole piece of paper, so don't squish everything in the first couple lines. You know, maybe use the first half for problem 1, this bottom half for problem 2, and flip it over for problem 3. I don't know, but I have to be able to read it. So don't copy the questions, just write what I'm going to write. So our first question is, we're buying a 2017 4Runner, and you've got the price, and the value of the car depreciates at a rate of 12%. So we're going to write a function, f of x, that models the situation. So first we have to figure out, again, as we did last week, is it linear or is it exponential? And the one thing that stands out, since it's a percentage, is that this will be exponential, and we will be using this format. Okay? All right, so a couple things we talked about in the cheat sheet. If you're given a percentage, you will have to do a little bit of work. You'll take one and either add your rate or subtract your rate, and that becomes your G. You will have to turn your percent into a decimal. That X is always our time, and that if B is the old amount, the original amount, then Y is your new amount. All right? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is establish B, my beginning amount. That's this. And also, while I'm saying this, you need a calculator. And to get G is not this 12%. I will have to take 1. And since it's depreciating means it goes down, I'm going to subtract 12% as a decimal. So since we'll have to use a calculator anyway, remember to do that, you do 12 divided by 100, whatever the percent is out of 100, and that is your decimal. And when I'm done with that, my final G amount is 0.88. So, setting up our equation, but instead of y, we're going to use f of x equals my original amount. In parentheses goes my new final g value to the x power. So that's just writing the function. When you write the function, I still want y or f of x, and I want x left as x. Now we're going to use that equation, or that function, to answer the second question. So now you should be writing down 1b, okay? And here we go. So we're going to find f of 3 and explain what it means in context of the situation. So that means, remember when the numbers, in parentheses, I got stuff in the way, that when I do draw this wall, this is going back to chapter 2. So when I draw this wall, sorry you couldn't see that, and 3 is in parentheses, 3 wants a hug. He wants to go over here where all the other numbers, not over here where he would be all alone. So I'm going to write down what I'm going to type into my calculator just in case I type something incorrectly. Just a reminder, this is your exponent button. If you have a different calculator, it is possible that your exponent button looks like this. You do need a smart calculator. A good app to download, and I think I mentioned this in last week's video, is to go to your app store, and it's called Calculate 84. All right? Okay, so I'm going to type this in, and let's see. Put in my parentheses exactly as I see it. I hit that little exponent button. It raises it up. I put the 3 in, and this is the new price. So again, how much of this do I need? I want to go 2 decimals behind because it is money. And we talked about, I mean, if you want to round that, you can make it 16 cents. But I introduced this new word called truncating, which means you just cut the decimal off. All right, so 2 things. We were supposed to find f of 3. Well, here's f of 3. there's answer 1. Second thing is explain what it means in context. So remember, X, that was 3 years. So I would say something like, in 3 years, the price of the car is, and then I would write down my price. So $23,313.15. Okay? All right, let's move to problem 2. So again, anything that I've written down, you've written down. You've labeled this as 1A, you've labeled this as 1B, and now we're going to do problem 2. All right, problem 2. So an ice cream shop charges $2.49 for a plain dish of ice cream and 99 cents for each topping. So first we're going to write our function that models the situation. So since they're adding 99 cents for each topping, that makes it linear. So I've written 2A on my paper. Here is our linear format. I need the beginning amount, which is the $2.49, and then I need M, how much they're going to add each time, so that's 99 cents. So when I write my function, I'll use f of x instead of y. It goes m x plus b. That's the model. That's the final answer to 2A. And again, you've labeled 2A on your paper. All right, next, 2B. Now we're going to do the same thing. It's always 3. So again, if I wrote this down, sorry you can't see that, and I have to decide where does the 3 go on the left or the right side, since 3 is in parentheses. You know, 3 either goes here or here. It wants to be with all the other numbers. So I'm going to write down, by me putting the 3 in parentheses, that does mean I'm going to take 99 cents times 3. And then you can turn on your calculator, and I'm just going to type in everything that you see here. So clear out the old one. There's 0.99, right? Parentheses 3 plus the 249. And I get 546. So there's my answer. So my first question is my function. When x is 3, I get $5.46. I've used my unit of measurement, and it just means you will pay $5.46 with 3 toppings, or for 3 toppings, something like that. But I've answered 2 questions. I found that, f of 3, and then I explained what it meant in context. One more problem. All right, so on 3. Illinois retirement debt is $203 billion, and it is growing at a rate of 4% each year. So we're going to write a function that models the situation. So first thing that we're going to do, it's exponential because of the percent. So I've written 3A on my paper. Here is our format. Our beginning amount is 203 billion. I'm not going to turn that into billion, but if you want to know how many zeros are behind a billion, that would be 369 zeros behind all of this. All right, let's write our equation. So f of x instead of y. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't find g yet. So since it's growing after the 1, I'll put plus 4% as a decimal. It's 0.04, and then I'm going to add them up. And there's my final g amount. So f of x is 203. In parentheses goes my 1.04 to the x power. And that is the answer finally for 1A. Again, I'm looking for all of this on your paper. And now for 3B, now we're going to put 3 in. At this point, we figured out that it is always going on the right side with the way Mrs. Lawson is writing this. So I'm going to write down whatever I'm typing into my calculator. I'm going to go to my calculator, type it in. Oops, it's hard to see. Parentheses. Enter. And again, I'm going to do whatever they did. So they only have they don't have a decimal. So I'm not going to write the decimal either. I'm just going to write 228. So my first question, what's f of 3 worth? We'll put 228. And how do I explain this in context? In 3 years, the debt is $228 billion. I'll go ahead and write dollars. I think that's what they wrote too, right? And that's it. That is your video. Go ahead. When you're done, you need to return to our Zoom meeting because we're going to talk as a group. And be prepared. You'll be submitting this to OneNote at the end.